Hey everybody, Asian Fasha Gamer here. I just want to take a second, put out a small disclaimer to let you all know that I am not a mental health professional. I just want to do my best to be able to help others with my own experience, and at the very least, hope to be able to point people in the right direction if they do need help. And of course, I also want to remind people that we do go into very heavy and potentially triggering subjects. So that is something to be considered. But I do appreciate your support for you being here. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Fahzaly Advice. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fahzaly Advice. Now, of course, I want to start this off by saying thank you to you, our viewers. I truly do appreciate you, and I hope that you have found value in my words and have enjoyed the episodes of Fahzaly Advice. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, and sharing. And of course, I do want to say thank you to our submitters. I am truly grateful for you trusting me with your quandary. And, of course, know that without you, there would be no podcast. Now, of course, if there are others that are interested in submitting to the Fahzaly Advice podcast to have your submission read and to receive some experience, some perspective, and some advice from me, you are more than welcome to at the Fahzaly Advice Gmail, which you'll receive more information about at the end of this podcast. Now, let's get on into our first submission, shall we? This one is brought to us by Throne Console, and they write, Dear Fasha, so I'm gonna go right into it. My brother recommended I send this to you to see what you had to say about it. Now, my 18-year-old son has always enjoyed video games and has honestly never bothered me. But his mom, whom we are no longer together, doesn't think it's a healthy hobby to have. And recently, she heard that my son wanted to get into content creation on the side, and she called me in tears saying I needed to talk him out of it. He does have a job that pays him well enough along with going to school. And when he came over yesterday, I asked him about it, and he said he has no want to quit his job and do content creation full time. It's just something he wants to do on the side. He also revealed to me that the night his mom called me crying, she had argued with him and destroyed his Xbox and PS5, both of which were presents from myself and his grandmother. She apparently forgot to tell me about that when she called, and I am absolutely livid, but I don't know exactly how to handle this situation. What would you do if you were in my shoes, Fasha? I don't want to create problems in the relationship between his mom, but I know I can't just let this fly after she destroyed 2 of his game consoles that were his property. Sincerely, Throne Console. Well, Throne Console, first off, I appreciate that you trusted me with this quandary. Now, if you were to ask me what I would do if I were in your shoes, the first thing I would do is, fact of the matter is your son is 18 years old, which means that he is a legal adult, and he can choose where he wants to live. And thus, I would give your son the option to live with you if you have the ability to do so. Because he is apparently not in a safe situation. His mom apparently has no respect for his property, his autonomy, and his wants, needs, and likes, and is willing to trample all over that for her comfortability. And for a mother, that is shameful. That is absolutely shameful. Now, this is my opinion, and there are people that will not agree with me, and I completely understand that. But me, being somebody who is a parent, would never trample over my child's autonomy and wants, needs, and dreams and hopes simply because I don't agree with it. If it's not harming them, if they are not physically bleeding, if they are not bruised and battered from the choices that they have made, then you or any parent has no right to stop them from stepping forward and doing what they choose to do. No matter what, as a parent's role, and I've talked about this time and time again, and I will continue to talk about this, but a parent's role is never to control. It's never to stand there and be the obstacle that their child has to overcome. If that's the case, then the parent has already failed. One moment. I do apologize. I just need to take a small sip of water from my Always Disrespect Your Trolls water bottle, which is available on the afgbrandstore.com. Apologies. Now, let's continue. In this instance, in this regard, like I said, when it comes to what I would do, one, I would offer your 18-year-old child a place to live if they don't already have another place, so that they can be safe and not have to worry about more of their property being destroyed. Because that is reprehensible. That is disgusting and shameful. No parent should get to a point where they use physical violence on neither their child's property nor their child's body. That is never necessary when it comes to solving a disagreement or finding a solution to a conflict. A good parent never needs to resort to violence or acts of force, and should never view their child as a subject of control. Because once again, I will state this: a parent's role is not to control. The parent's role is to guide and to love, to understand and to be there for their child, no matter what, as best as they can be. That is the role of a parent: to guide, to aid, and to love, not to control, not to manage. They are not a commodity. They are not an employee. They are your child. And they will grow independent of you, whether you want them to or not. They have their own autonomy, and they have their own self, and that needs to be recognized by every parent. Too often I see parents failing at this, and that is the reason why their relationship deteriorates so quickly. Your child's mother may not agree or like the hobbies that he chooses, but she has no right to tell him that he can't do those hobbies. They're not harming him. A video game is not harmful, and it is likened to the same thing as someone who likes to read, someone who likes to watch sports, someone who likes to go to the gym, someone who likes to do something on a regular basis. It's the same thing, and it's been viewed with this stipulation for too long when it doesn't exist. Gaming is just another activity of enjoyment. It neither detracts nor does it add to life. How it affects someone depends on that person and their experiences with it. But it shouldn't be vilified simply because there are people who are unwilling to accept change, who are unwilling to see the world outside of the small perspective that they think they have the right to push onto others. No one has the right to do that. Neither do they have the right to do that to their children, especially. It is sad to see that she decided to take such drastic measures as to destroy property. And this is expensive property, but that aside, the destruction of your child's property, of his stuff, which she had no right to touch or destroy, especially at the point now that he is a legal adult. Even before then, no parent should ever have their child witness them destroy their property. That is unbelievably damaging, not just to the relationship, but to the mental state of the child as they develop, no matter what age they are. No child should have to see their parent lose their mind, lose their composure, and decide to start destroying their child's property. Think about how embarrassing that is. How unnecessary that is. That in itself is enough for me to take action to try and put that child in a safer place so that they never have to deal with that again. And the person that destroyed that property needs to not only face the consequences, but they need to know that they have done irreparable damage to the relationship of all the people involved. To you, to the son, to everyone. Because it was such an unnecessary act. There is so many people I see out there that do this, not just parents, but significant others. If you can't stand that your significant other or your child or whatever position that this person in relation to you may be has a hobby that they enjoy just because you don't approve of it when it doesn't harm anybody, keep it to yourself. People might not agree with that. Like I said, this is my opinion, but I stand by this opinion. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean someone has to care, nor do they have to stop. If it's not harming anybody and it's just them doing what they do and nobody else is affected, then the only effect is you see it and it annoys you or it bothers you. That's your problem. Both as a parent and just as an individual living life in this world, in this reality. Someone's enjoyment should never be something that makes you want to cause conflict if that enjoyment doesn't cause harm. And I use this term in a more concrete manner. Physical harm, when it doesn't hurt anybody physically or emotionally or mentally. If they're not attacking anybody with the actions that they are doing, why bother trying to tell them that they shouldn't do it? Who are any of us to tell someone that they can't enjoy their life as they see fit? Both parent and individual. Because the thought process and the concept is valid in both situations. Because a parent who fails to recognize this, fails to recognize the individual that is their child, and would rather push onto them their ideals, what they believe, what they think they should be, without seeing who their child is, just without seeing the individual in front of them. And it's sad that it's so common. And I know that you don't want to damage that relationship or cause any problems, but she, by destroying his property, has already done that damage, has already caused problems in that relationship. And as his father, someone who cares, the only thing that you need to be focusing on is making sure that your son is safe and happy. That's it. No one else involved actually matters when it comes to you being a father. As long as your son is safe and happy, focus on that. That is my number one piece of advice to you going forward. I appreciate you sending this in, Throne Console, and I do hope you found value in what I said. Thank you so much for trusting me with your quandary. And before we move on to our second submission, let's take a small commercial break, shall we?
Well, hey there, everybody. Did you know that Asian Fasha Gamer has a Patreon?
That's right, everybody, and we're here to tell you about it together.
Subscribers have a chance to see content early, as well as request content on higher tiers.
That's right. You can ask Asian Fashion Gamer to read you a story, talk to you about lore or gameplay, or many other things.
But wait, there's more.
Subs that have been stayed around for 3 months or longer get special gifts. And if we reach our stretch goal of 10 subs or more, we will continue to add more to the Patreon, making it better for all of you.
So please consider, at the very least, checking out Asian Fasha Gamer's Patreon. Maybe subscribing and supporting him. And of course, we thank you for your time.
What's up, everybody? Random Skull here. I just wanted to let you know that Asian Fasha Gamer live streams 5 days a week.
That's right, and you can join him on those 5 days a week by checking out his schedule. He streams on Mondays at 3 p.m., Tuesdays through Thursdays at 1:30 p.m., and on Fridays at 3:30 p.m. Come join the fun and see what we do.
Welcome back, everybody. I do hope that you enjoyed our first submission and found value in what I said. And I appreciate those of you that have continued to watch this episode of Fahzaly Advice and stuck by for our second submission. Now let's get on into that, shall we? This one is brought to us by Don't Change Me. And they write, Hello, Fahza. I got a complicated problem I am dealing with. A few months ago, I asked out my crush. And surprisingly, she said yes. For the first week, it was awesome. We were going to restaurants, movies, hanging out at my place as I introduced her to some anime along with video games, and having a ton of fun. Recently, though, things have changed. She wanted to go shopping a few days ago and pretty much demanded I buy some really expensive designer clothing, saying if I am going to be with her, I need to look good. She came over and threw out most of my wardrobe, saying I need to get more of the type of clothing I bought, which I truthfully didn't like at all. Now, anytime I mention games or anime nowadays, she acts incredibly annoyed and asks me why I don't instead play basketball or football. Why is it always anime and video games? Last time we were hanging out after we went out to dinner, we went back to my place to watch some TV and wind down. I had my Xbox controller on the couch and she said hopefully with her around that I will grow out of that. Her saying that really bothered me because I thought that I had genuine feelings for her and that she had the same for me. But lately, it feels like she is trying to turn me into who she expects me to be. I have never been someone who cared about being fashionable or looking like I am rich, nor do I have any interest in sports. Is there something wrong with that? Sincerely, Don't Change Me. Well, now I can see why you chose the moniker Don't Change Me. It makes a lot of sense, and I do appreciate your submission. Now, I'm gonna state this straight up when it comes down to it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with liking anime and video games, with not liking sports and not wanting to be fashionable. Truly. I have many friends that are in the same boat, and they are just as adult as me or you. And none of us care about being fashionable. None of us care about sports ball. And a lot of us enjoy anime and video games and the like. None of us care that some of us don't like what we like. We don't need to live in a world where there is some standardization to how you have to be. Because guess what? There isn't. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you're from. You can like what you like. And you can enjoy what you enjoy. And you don't have to like what people think you have to like. You're not here to fulfill anybody's expectations. You are not alive to be somebody for anybody. And if this person whom you are currently in a relationship with or going out with, having fun with, wants to change you simply because they don't like what you enjoy, then I hate to say it, but this might not be the relationship. Excuse me. This might not be the relationship for you. And I say that because they seem to want to change you into something or someone that you are not. You enjoy anime. You enjoy video games. You don't enjoy sports. But this person seems to enjoy those things and wants a partner that enjoys those things. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you two together, more than likely, are not a good match. And that is okay. Truthfully, it's not like you failed at something. You tried something new. You tried going out with somebody and you were brave about asking them out. Just because y'all don't jive together, just because y'all don't have the same interests, doesn't mean that there's something wrong here. Doesn't mean that it is a bad thing. You just learned something about yourself. And maybe she learned something about herself. But going forward, don't try to change yourself to appease somebody. Don't try to be someone you're not. Just because who you are currently attempting to be in a relationship with wants you to be someone that they think you should be. In all honesty, anybody going into a relationship with that mentality more than likely isn't ready for a relationship because they have a standard. They have a standard that isn't necessarily something that you can fulfill, and that standard came from somewhere. There's one thing to have, what you want from a relationship, but it's a completely other thing to think that someone has to fit that particular image. And if they don't, you need to change them. That mindset is quite damaging. One moment while I take another sip from my Always Disrespect Your Trolls water bottle, available on the afgbrandstore.com. Apologies, my voice seems to want to give out, but I do want to keep doing Fahzaly Advice podcast, so I'm doing my best to keep it going and keep it up. Now, I digress. Let's continue on with this submission and what I have to say about it. So, her saying, she hopes that you will grow out of it, means that she has no understanding about what you enjoy, nor does she really have any want to understand who you are. She's too busy trying to turn you into someone she wants you to be. And that is an extremely toxic dynamic in a relationship. See, there are people out there that say that a relationship should change you and you should want to change for the relationship. But in all honesty, I personally believe that is a shite mentality. That your change as a person should only be fueled by who you want to be. And it stops at that. A relationship isn't about changing yourself to fit in to someone else's life. A relationship is about two people having a partnership and walking down the path of life together. Not to force someone to be someone they're not. That is an unfair expectation in any relationship. And if there is someone or some ideal that you believe your partner should be, then you should keep searching instead of trying to make someone who they're not. That is sad. Really, truly a sad way to try and progress a relationship. And I'm not saying that you, the submitter, are doing this. I'm saying that your crush is who is doing this. And this more goes out to the people out there that have this mentality, that think that you need to change someone to fit into your ideal of what they should be as your partner. When a good partner, a true partner, should fit into those ideals without you needing or wanting to change who they are. Because that is a manipulation. That borders on the line of narcissism, to think that you have the right to manipulate and change somebody because you want them to be this. What you want doesn't really matter when it comes to an individual and who they are. A real relationship is able to accept somebody for who they are and love them and to walk beside them. Because that's what it is. That's what a relationship is. That's what being in love is. It's a partnership. It's not the willingness to change for somebody. That is a fallacy. That creates a dynamic in which you are not comfortable, or at the very least, you don't feel safe enough to be yourself. And you should be able to feel safe enough to be yourself and more with your partner, shouldn't you? To want to have your partner meld into your ideal rather than love them for who they are? Can you understand how damaging that is just by hearing me say that? I can hear it, and it is not something that I would want for anybody that is in a relationship. A real relationship is an understanding of two people. And that understanding grows as they communicate, as they love, and as they experience. And the changes that occur are not ones that are created through circumstance. They are ones that simply happen as life continues, as the relationship continues. And it should be as natural as breathing. The more you force that change, the more apparent it will be down the road. And that is a very damaging standpoint when it comes to a relationship. Those circumstances can be quite toxic if you're not willing to face them properly. You're not willing to actually see that maybe you are not right for each other. And as scary as that might be, it's better to step forward in the unknown than to be trapped into thinking you have to be someone you're not. Because out there, where you don't know what life will bring you, it can bring you something wonderful, as long as you're willing to look for it. But that's on you. That is on you. So when it comes to this particular issue, this submission, remember, my friend, there is nothing wrong with you and what you enjoy. And there is nothing wrong with not wanting to change or be changed to go so far from who you actually are. Hold true to who you are, and you will find someone that is willing to love you and accept you and be your partner. Don't settle for anything less than that when it comes to a relationship. Alright? Now, I truly do hope that you have found value in my words and have enjoyed this episode of Fahzaly Advice. Thank you so much to our submitters and to our viewers. But now it's time for this love train to get rolling on through. Choo choo. I love every single freaking one of you. Well, everybody, that's the end of Fahzaly Advice. I hope you did enjoy this episode and you found some value in what I said. And of course, if you are interested in participating, if you need some advice or some perspective, feel free to email the address at the end of this part. And remember, all submissions are 100% anonymous. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Need some perspective? Need some advice? Want your submission read on podcast? Well, email Fahza at fahzalyadvice@gmail.com. And remember, all submissions are 100% anonymous unless requested upon.